Hey YouTube, hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a good holiday. So it was a green week in the markets, possibly the long-awaited Santa Claus Rally everyone keeps talking about, where basically stocks go up after Christmas until the new year. So many people didn't think it was going to happen this year, but it did go up. You can kind of see the performance here, up a little over 4% this past week. But on the other hand, who knows? It could be a bull trap where, this bear market keeps on going down. So after the new year, so we'll see what happens. But it was definitely nice to see a nice green week in the markets. Kind of thought I'd just provide a little update on my portfolio, what I've been doing, and what my plans are in the future. So kind of starting with options. So Match and Micron, kind of not too happy about my performance with these. I did sell some contracts for Match back in the summer, just to take some profit. So I'm glad I got something out of it. But in hindsight, I wish I could have sold it all. But who could have predicted a bear market? But good learning lesson in the future. So Match and Micron, those will probably just expire worthless after the new year for me. So unfortunately, Activision and Square, I'm still holding on to those. So those are 2020 calls. We'll see what happens in the market in the coming months. If anything, I'll probably break even on those. I don't mind just breaking even and selling then. And then just getting future dated options in 2021 or something. So but other than that, that's kind of the options and calls that I have currently. So going into my stocks, a new position I wanted to talk about, QQQ. So it's the Power Shares NASDAQ ETF. So it's got the 100 companies in the NASDAQ. So you got your Apples, your Amazons, all those big guys. And I thought it was a good time to open up a position in this ETF, as tech has been beaten down over the last 3 months. The NASDAQ did dip into its bear market. So I thought that for the long term, this might be a great idea to get in and just keep adding to it. And it's something that I did contemplate doing back in the summer when I was up, with the gains on my Match calls and my Square calls and all that, selling some of that and buying some of this. So that was the plan all along. I wish I did it earlier on, just to kind of, minimize my risk and, just kind of have a long-term ETF in my portfolio. So bought 5 shares. I'm still going to be adding to it in the future. And I do plan on adding it, especially if this bear market continues. So, if it drops below, let's say 140, I'll probably open up another position in them as well. So just further, adding to it. So currently just under 10% of my portfolio, but something as a younger investor, I think people should be investing in ETFs like this one, or the S&P 500, or any of the other ones that are available. So I think, I'm more growth-oriented tech investor, so I thought that this was a good idea to kind of go with this. So moving on to Costco, down a little bit on this as well, but still holding. Great stock for the long term. E-commerce sales currently are only about 4% of their total net sales, so they have a lot of room to grow on the e-commerce side of their business. And their e-commerce has grown very well quarter over the current quarters over the last year's quarters. It's like 30-40%. So they're clearly getting some gains there. There's a big opportunity with e-commerce, as everyone knows, and Costco's definitely trying to capitalize on that, especially if they're trying to get more millennials and people that live in urban areas to shop there. Currently, you kind of see Costco's mostly in the suburbs and family shopping there. But like I mentioned in earlier videos, I love Costco. They have a lot of good stuff. Their Kirkland brand is amazing, and they're selling a lot of good add-on services. They got their gas stations, and they have travel services. Their food court's amazing. And yeah, they're making good money on their memberships. Their renewal rate is still, over 90%. So they're keeping that consistent. And yeah, so no plans on this one. I'm going to keep adding to it if it continues to go down, but pretty comfortable with this. So moving on to Planet Fitness. I may have mentioned a couple weeks ago, I did sell 5 shares of this just to lock in some profit. So I'd sell 5 around the 55.25 mark. So, just trying to have a little cash on hand for these for this bear market. So, and I thought that it would be good to, better now or never, to lock in some profit. So, Planet Fitness there for you. So, their earnings are coming up in the next couple months in February. So, potentially one of those stocks that I sell altogether on the news. If, it has a really good earnings, then goes up to 60, for example, I may consider selling everything. Maybe I think its price to earnings is a little too high. Maybe I put that money into QQQ, for example. So, always keeping my options open with this one, but, still confident in this business long term, especially, around the holidays, New Year's resolutions, and people going to the gym. Planet Fitness should hopefully expect good earnings and good guidance going forward. So we'll see about that. Moving on, Berkshire Hathaway. Still up on this one. Great stock for the long term. Keeping and holding. Warren Buffett's company has a lot of cash on hand. So, hopefully he's deploying that in good ways, whether it's acquisitions or buying back their own stock or buying cheap Apple stock or Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, whatever they may have in their portfolio. So, I trust, their management team to make good decisions. So, holding Berkshire, I'm almost 13% of my portfolio, pretty confident in it. And yeah, so great stock to own long term, as you guys can see. Moving on to Apple, who's also in kind of this bear market, hasn't done too well. You can see its highs were around 233. Now it's down at 156. So, it's seen better days. You can see down 31% over the last 3 months. Obviously, iPhone demand is the big story of, they're not reporting unit sales anymore. Slowing global demand for iPhones, all that kind of stuff. People are thinking Apple's not innovating. So watching that closely, but they're the biggest company in the world. They have a lot of cash on hand as well, just like Berkshire. And I have no doubt that Tim Cook and their management team is going to continue to, whether it's acquisitions or just find new ways to keep people within their ecosystem. Because it's the best company and best ecosystem in the world. Honestly, they're locking people in. Their services business is growing really well. So, Apple, no doubt, long-term, great stock to have. Not buying more at this point, although I'd like to, because it's already almost 20% of my portfolio. So it doesn't make sense risk-wise to plow more money into this. So just maintaining status quo for now. Activision Blizzard, I did buy 5 more shares a couple weeks ago around the $49 mark, but so currently down on those, but down over 16%. This may be one of those that I consider tax loss harvesting tomorrow. Markets are open tomorrow for half a day, I believe. So last chance to, sell your losers so you get some favorable tax treatment for the next year to offset any of your gains, so you're not paying taxes on those. So I still have the Activision call as well on that, which I'm down. So, potentially thinking of selling this one. I do have a limit sell in here, queued up, ready to go. Just trying to use that cash, have some cash on hand, and just try to deploy to something a little more less risky, such as an ETF or something else. Moving on to Constellation, also a big loser during this bear market, down over 24% on my position. Also considering potentially, buying more, but it's already 10% of my portfolio. Don't want to over leverage on just this one stock, but still holding for the long term. A lot of good momentum going for this with their Canopy Growth investments, which is also down currently. But, they got really good selling beer brands with Corona, Modelo. They divested their wine business not too long ago. So they're trying to have a little more product focus on their high-growing brands as well as their new cannabis investments. So Constellation Brands for you. And then finally rounding out with Zoetis, so pet pharma. I'm pretty confident in this one as well long term. Reasonable enough P for a healthcare company. 35, 10% of my portfolio. Pet pharma, companion animals. People aren't going to be giving away their pets anytime soon. They're obviously treated like a member of the family. Still need medicine for your pets, whether it's in the U.S. or around the world. And, Zoetis is the #1 company to provide that. So, that's a quick look at my portfolio, guys. Just wanted to kind of take you guys through it. It's kind of my strategies. Other than that, my watch list, nothing too crazy. I did add a healthcare ETF in here, considering about possibly opening up a position in this one as well. Healthcare has gotten, it's actually kind of flat this past year, but I think for the long term, healthcare is a good choice. This ETF has a lot of big positions like Johnson & Johnson, United, Pfizer, AbbVie, all the big healthcare players. So, I don't know too much individually about each of those companies, but I think an ETF is a way to go, especially with baby boomers retiring and all that. They're going to demand services from a lot of these companies. And so the trends are kind of looking in favor of healthcare in general. Got all the big players in there, Amazon's, Google's. Nothing's really changed too much. Did add waste management in here, just kind of an industrial stock here. Kind of people say it's recession proof, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that. I did own it in the past, but obviously they're a big player. People still need their garbage taken away, whether it's bull market or bear market, doesn't matter. So just kind of adding that to my watch. I did sell Discover. I did have 5 shares of this. I did sell 5 around $60 a couple weeks ago. Just thought I'd better deploy that money in other ways. So I'm kind of glad I did before it dipped a little bit more. So just a small sell there. Other than that, nothing too crazy. Got a couple cannabis stocks there, as well as ETFs. Just kind of, keeping an eye on a lot of these different stocks and just making sure I'm investing and reading up on them and trying to buy what I know and I feel comfortable with. So kind of realized after this bear market that I'm pretty comfortable owning a lot of my stocks, which is a good thing because I know a lot about them. I know a lot about the company and, I feel comfortable in the long term that I'm not going to be losing my investment overnight for some of these. So, that's kind of my strategy, guys. Just a quick short video. Let me know what you guys are doing. Are you selling anything before the new year? And then what are you buying in January? So, or are you going to just wait it out? Or are you just going to sit on cash for a little bit? Right now, I'm currently sitting about, it's like $400 of cash. So, potentially once I sell Activision, I'm sitting around a little over $1,000. So, we'll see how to deploy that a little better in the new year, especially with earnings coming up. There's a lot of positive momentum potentially coming up with the earnings season, as well as U.S. and China. They are meeting again to work on the trade deal in early January. So I know the U.S. is sending some representatives to Beijing to talk. And yeah, we'll just, basically bear market. There was a lot of bad news the last couple months. Hopefully there's some good news starts coming out in the new year. Maybe companies start reporting, guidance that wasn't as bad as it was initially feared in the future. And, earnings, profits are still all-time highs and everything. Economy's still coming along. Jobs are available. So, all these macroeconomic trends are, in favor of a lot of these companies and, potentially a bull market that just continues. So, so good day in the market last week. Santa Claus Rally arrived. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Half-day trading. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good new year and happy investing. Thanks for watching. See you next year. Bye.